Hey everyone, welcome. I'm Donna Nelson, founder of the Adopt a Single Mom Project and Adopt a Single Mom for Christmas. Welcome to day 4 of our back to school series. I'm super excited tonight. We have had a fantastic week of guests, but I'm a little partial. Tonight is my favorite. We have a panel of 4 of our mom members with us tonight, and we are going to talk about all things single moms, especially around back to school and what are the implications for our moms, what are the things that they're concerned about, what's going on with their kiddos and with them and with work and all of that. So as I say, we come on with no plan and we are just going to talk about whatever comes up among us collectively. And we hope that, and we know that really, you'll get some value out of it because we know collectively as we are co-creating whatever this is as we go into the season of school, that all moms and parents can relate to what's going on with our moms, because we all go through similar things. And that's why these moms have volunteered to come on and share openly, knowing that them sharing their story will help support all of our parents out there as well. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Adopt a Single Mom Project, I'll share a little bit about how we got started and who we are and how you can get involved too in just a minute. But I wanted to just do a quick overview of what to expect tonight. So we'll probably talk for 30 or 45 minutes. We'll leave some time for questions and answers at the end. I know some of you who have registered already posted some questions, and we'll make sure that those get answered by our panel of moms. And you can also post, if you're watching this live, post them in the thread, and I will watch the thread and make sure that they get answered near the end. Please share this out on your timeline. Tag a single mom friend or a parent who you think might benefit from this or would want to know about our organization. Help us spread the word and help us support those parents in our community who need to hear from other parents who might be going through the same thing. So, okay, so I think that pretty much sums up what I wanted to touch on kind of in the housekeeping space. Just be forewarned, they're all moms who have their kiddos and animals and internet problems and whatever. So we never know what's going to happen. But we're all open to that and understand that right now. So anyway, so for those of you who don't know who we are with the Adopt a Single Mom Project, we're a membership organization that provides a holistic approach to empowering working single moms here in Northeastern Pennsylvania. Our mission is to help enhance her quality of life through providing resources and social and emotional support. And we do that in a number of different ways. And we'll talk about that probably as we go, touching on it throughout tonight. But I started this initiative in 2017, really just wanting to gift some working single moms who were like I was raising my kids and feeling, under-recognized and underappreciated and under-supported in so many ways. And so I just wanted some of the single moms like me to just have some gifts for her underneath the tree. And every opportunity I get to say this, I'm going to. Heather Burke, who is with us tonight, was our very first mom 3 Christmases ago that we got to gift. And because of the family that nominated her, it really allowed and pushed us gave me the encouragement that I needed to keep this moving forward. So that has been our biggest initiative, and through the community support and encouragement, we have, let me just remove Kristen until she comes back on. We have grown into an organization of supporting moms and having a wonderful base of single moms that we can rely on each other and be here for each other. So we wanted to share that with you. So now tonight, we are sharing some of our own stories and things that are going on with us around back to school. So I'm going to go around and we'll start, Kimberly, just because you're on the screen, you're next to me. our moms introduce themselves, and then we'll probably from that start sharing what's going on with back to school, with our concerns and solutions and decisions and all of that stuff. So Kim, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm a single mom of one daughter. She's 9. She's a handful. I love her dearly. And I also have a son who's 18. His father's in his life, so it's 2 different dynamics going on at once. Working part-time, full-time, as many hours as they would love me to have. And it's nice to be able to be with the Adopted Single Mom Project. It's nice to hear feedback from other moms going in different situations, and I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we're from Luzerne County. I forgot to say that. So we have 3 Luzerne County moms with us and 1 Lackawanna County mom. But we have, moms that follow us from all over the state and all over the country. And the great thing about social media is that this gets to reach out. We have over 13 or 1,400 people on our email list that this replay will get to go out to. So it is fun to have your stories and have other moms be able to relate, especially, having a kiddo from 18 and then 1 to 9. And it was really great getting to meet your daughter, Kim, at our family fun day. You can tell she's wise and mature beyond her years. That's for sure.
Yes. She keeps me very, very active, and I love it. She reminds me too much of myself that we butt heads a lot, but it's wonderful too.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. And she's a very sensitive soul. So yeah. So it was fun to meet her. So great. All right. So Victoria's moving. So Heather, you can go next. And then when Kristen hops back on, we'll have her go too.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name's Heather. I'm a single mom of a 17-year-old boy who is on the high functioning end of the autism spectrum. And I live in Lackawanna County. I work full-time, and I'm working to establish my own business as a Young Living distributor.
And you have how many animals?
Many. No. I have 3 dogs and 3 cats.
Yes. 3 big dogs that are beautiful.
And I wish I could put them on my taxes, really.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like so much easier.
And it was really fun having Joe at our family fun day. I'm so happy that you decided to come. I'm love
glad
the
you did too. Thank you. Oh, he had so much fun. He really did.
Cool. All right, Kristen is back with us. Kristen, introduce yourself.
Hi, sorry, my daughter's friend came and I had to talk to their parents, but I am Kristen. I have 4 children. They are 13, 10, 9, and 3. Not sure what else you want to know right now. I'm sorry.
Okay, I know. It's fun getting distracted, isn't it? So, and you're not working right now, right?
No, my place of employment well, other than the Usborne books, but my job will not be opening back up anytime probably this year.
Yeah. Yep. So, and we'll talk more about that. All right, Victoria, are you good now?
I think so. Am I?
Yeah. You look good. Yeah, we hear you. Oops. Now you're sketchy.
Do you guys still hear me?
Nope. Your audio is bad. All right. So, all right, so let's talk about back to school. Everyone wants to know, what are you doing about back to school? Are you sending your kids back to brick and mortar, if that's even an option? Are you doing some hybrid because that's what your district is requiring? Are you, what's happened to Heather there? Are you doing virtual, and are you doing it with the school district? Are you cyber schooling? So share what your decisions are and what you're doing going forward. And are you doing something different, Kristen, because you have 4 at home? Are you doing something different with each one as an option as well, based on what your kids' needs are?
So my plan, there's nothing set in stone right now. Like, even speaking to them about my son who has an IEP and is in special classes, there's nothing set in stone saying they're even going to be able to go back to school. Even if they do go back, it's only 2 days in and then 3 days of homeschool.
Hold on a second. So your district doesn't even have a plan in place right now?
They do, but it hasn't been approved by the board completely, and they're waiting for the Department of Education to finalize what they plan to do.
Right. I get that the state has to finalize it, but I mean, it's August 7th. I don't know. I've been following a lot of the districts, and many of them already have their decisions made from the board. They've had their board meetings and they have decisions, but I know there are some that don't as well. So the board hasn't made a decision, but the parents have voted and they've had several meetings, right?
Yes. And the principal the superintendent came out with 3 different options. One is the homeschooling through the district. The other is the virtual school, which would be the work from their regular teacher. And then the third is the hybrid, which is 2 days in school, 3 days out. And it alternates, kids with the last names of A through K are Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. Wednesday, no one's at school. And then Thursday and Friday are the rest of the kids.
Yeah.
So my older daughter, will be doing that. And probably my 9-year-old, but probably not my 10-year-old. He doesn't want to go if he has to wear a mask.
And that's your kiddo that has the IEP?
Both of my boys do. My 10.
Okay, I thought they did. All right.
But my 10-year-old only has it because he has ADHD. So he has accommodations for being able to get up if he needs to, being able to take tests in a separate room. Yeah. But my 9-year-old actually has a learning disability. And that's my biggest concern, is making sure he's getting what he needs. Because
so your 9-year-old doesn't want to go back?
No, it's my 10-year-old doesn't. My 9-year-old, he's cool with going. He's missed it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right, so we'll come back to that. All right, Kim, what are you doing?
Okay, well, my daughter feels like she wishes she didn't have to go to school at all. She would rather stay home with mom all day. But unfortunately, there's decisions that had to be made. Her district that we live in is doing 2 days of school 1 week, alternating the next week doing 3 days, with basically an online-based schooling on the days that they don't actually attend the district. So it's going to be like pulling my hair out when she has to do everything online, because she did not succeed the end of last school year with that. There was a lot of fighting and a lot of just not doing so well. So we will see. I think for me, I do like that she's going into the class. She needs the stability at 9 years old. She likes being able to see her friends and, just trying to teach her the proper, go in, you follow the rules, you sit down, you don't move around. They've emphasized, as long as they're seated at their desk, they can take the mask off because they'll be able to be the 6 feet apart. So trying to educate her on, you you can do this, but you got to do this. And just trying to educate her as far as how to function with that is going to be the hardest part, and adjusting to the back and forth.
I'm curious, and Kristen, you can share this when we come back around to you too. I'm curious, what are the districts providing parents right now saying, this is what you need to do this is what the protocol is going to be. This is what's going to be expected of the students. This is what's going to be expected of the teachers. This is what the teachers are going to do. And as parents, here's what you need to do in advance of your child coming back to school to prepare them for what to expect. Is there any of that being provided right now? Kristen, I'm sure it's not from years ago. There's not even a decision about what school is yet. So have they given you anything like that, Kim?
Not anything at all. I mean, they give you the option of going like 100%, basically cyber school or virtual, however they word it, which it was never an option. So I never looked into it, because I know with just being mine, she doesn't adjust well to that.
Yeah.
The whole thing is, I want her to be able to go in. I want her to be able to have a connection with the teacher as well as the students. I don't want to see her sitting in front of a screen for, 6 to 7 hours a day. And then that's just the schooling. And is there going to be homework on top of the virtual classrooms and everything else? So there's a lot of undecidedness with every decision that's being made, because I feel like it's going to be a learning curve on their end as well as ours, as far as, is this going to be the way that they're going to proceed beyond the first quarter? Will it continue for the whole year?
Yeah. So, and, the thing is that when the kids are doing the virtual piece, when they leave to go to school, they're gone 7 hours, right? But when they're virtual learning, it's not 6 or 7 hours online and screen time. It's literally only a couple of hours, because if you think about, there's no lunch, there's no recess. In school, there's a lot of things that are breaking up that 6 or 7 hours. So your kid wouldn't be sitting in front of the screen that long, which means that you got to figure out what you're doing the rest of the day, because there is only that couple of hours that they're in front of the screen time. So it creates a lot of challenges. So how are you going to be able to navigate this around your work schedule? What kinds of challenges creating for you, not just from a stressor as a parent of like, my kid doesn't like this type of learning, and now I'm going to be the one, the pressure is on to make sure she's getting it done, but all the other stuff as well.
I think it's going to be a learning curve. I don't have the answers for that at this time. Obviously, my job is just appreciative that I came back after a short leave of absence. So they're willing, and they're like, as many hours as you want to work, and as long as, I'm available when I can be. Mm-hmm. I think I have the luxury at that point that they're being very, very kind to me at this point. It might get aggravating at that point for them. I don't know, but I think it's still up in the air. There's no answer to that at this point.
Yeah. And I don't think you'll mind me sharing this, but because we had this conversation at the family day, you've been really good about saving money and making sure that you have money aside. So if your hours are cut, you're okay for a little bit right now.
Right. My father was a single father raising 3 kids, and, had to work a 9 to 5 to make sure he was home for us. And like, we learned how to live with nothing. And I just appreciate every little thing and make sure I budget and save. And sometimes I don't know how I do it, but if there's anything I can set aside, I do. So
yeah, such a great example. Yeah. So, all right, we'll come back around. Heather, where'd Victoria go? I guess she got lost. So I don't know. I'm sure her boys are probably driving her crazy trying to get back on. So Heather, what is going on with your guy for the fall?
Well, they have a plan in place. I was reading through it the other day, what they're going to do if we're in stage red, yellow, green, whichever phase we're in. And it pretty much just described like, how often things would be sanitized and that kind of thing. But their plan is to reopen completely, and their first day back is September 10th.
Which district are you in?
Lackawanna Trail.
Okay.
And but they are also offering the options for cyber school or online virtual schooling. In a way, it poses a challenge in that Joe only does half days of school, because he would do 3 classes in the morning, a study hall lunch, and then he used to go to the NEIU Victory Village in the afternoons, which is wonderful. Well, there's no NEIU this year. The program is closed.
Oh.
So now he's supposed to be doing a half day of school, whether in the morning or afternoon, I don't know yet. And he was supposed to do the other half at the Susquehanna County VOTEC.
Yeah.
He's going to start working on his certification for building maintenance with HVAC and electrician. He's just totally over the moon about it.
I know.
And she sent me the application the other day to fill out and return to her, but I don't know what class spacing there's going to be. I don't know if they're going to stagger days in person school and online. Thing is, though, even though this is Joe's senior year, because of the way we're actually kind of stretching out his courses so he can do the afternoon stuff, he still has 2 more years of school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this would be the last year, I think, that he has to do all the mandatory stuff, where next year he'd be able to start doing the electives and the things he doesn't get to do. So honestly, if this year is a wash for Joe, as much as I don't want it to be, if it is, it's really not a big deal, because we still have more time coming.
Right.
And I'm like you, Kimberly. I want to see Joe in school. He does not do well in a home environment. He needs to be in that school environment to focus and learn. And yes, it will be a fight. It was just a fight in the spring.
I remember.
Before they had to go on to do anything, like to do that, like get a pass or fail grade, he would not even check his own school email. I'm like, Joe, Miss Jessica emailed you. Check your email. He wouldn't even check his email. And even to do the pass or fail stuff, I said, Joe, this is the easiest grade you're going to get. Get it done. You'll pass. That's it. And that was a fight. Oh my God. But I know if I'm lucky too, even though I work full time during the day, he's with my dad. So I know my dad is going to make sure he does what he has to do to the best of his ability, because Joe's a big guy. He's got a mind of his own. If he doesn't want to do it, he's not going to do it.
You cannot make that him do anything.
No.
Yes.
And if he's determined that he's not going to do it, there's no motivation good enough to get him to. There's no consequence bad enough that he'd want to avoid it. He's stubborn. Totally stubborn. But I mean, I really do have mixed feelings about this school year. I mean, I want him to be safe, and I'm really not afraid of COVID any more than the flu or anything else that goes around and can kill people with a repressed immune system. But I would certainly hate to be the carrier and not know it, or have Joe be the carrier and give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
But I would like to see his life go back to a little bit of normal for him. He's a social guy. He thrives on being around other people, even if it overstimulates him sometimes and he gets like all crazy and way too outgoing. But yeah, I want to see his life get back to normal. But I also want to know exactly where we stand as far as, are we going to stagger days going back? Is it going to be normal? Is it going to be morning, afternoon? Like, I would like to see something nailed down. And they're working to do that now. I think they have one more vote to decide how they're going to structure that.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to be the biggest negative impact for Joe? Not having the consistency maybe as he was used to in the past, or if they end up having to go all virtual, and what is would be the hardest part about that for you?
The consistency, yeah, he needs a pretty, as far as school and things that he has to focus on, he needs a very structured routine. And he needs to be in that physical environment to do well. So I would foresee if he has to do it at home, a lot's not going to get done. And he's not going to really keep up his grades very well. He's capable. He just doesn't want to.
Oh,
You know,
yeah, sure.
a young kid in a big kid body, you know, he's just, that's it. He would be thrilled if he didn't have to go back to school either. Because as far as he's concerned, I mean, as much as he's aware of COVID and everything, from March until now, it's been one big vacation for him.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Right. Roams the neighborhood, fishes, hangs out with your dad, like, whatever.
Yeah. Puts his cars out in the street, throwing black walnuts for the dogs. You know, he's just having a high old time. My mom is still going to work every day, getting her butt up at 4 a.m. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So, Kristen, what do you see being the biggest challenge for you? You know, the thing I think about you, because your kids span, first of all, because you have 4, and that's a challenge. And the age span of your kiddos, like they're not all going to school if that were even an option, right?
The little one got into preschool.
Oh, where is she going? Not which school, but I mean, did you get her in a special program, like a Head Start, or is she going somewhere else?
She's in a pre-K counts
class.
Cool.
Awesome.
So Monday through Friday, all day. As for awesome. Now, like, we'll see how things, you know, go as changes are made from the Department of Education and all that. But as of right now, yes.
Yeah, that is so awesome. I'm so happy for her.
I am. She's very ready. I mean, she just turned 3 last month, but she's very ready to be in school. And she's really having a hard time. I think it might actually be a little more difficult on her than I ever could have imagined. Like, her toddler groups were closed. She was used to going to the library. We would go to the library a couple times a week. Like, her whole schedule was thrown for a loop. So I'm really excited about that with her.
Yeah.
But for me, the biggest challenge is going to be trying to find a job that will hire me with, you know, the hours that I'll be able to work.
Right. So now if your 10-year-old doesn't want to go and he wants to do virtual, I mean, he can stay home by himself. I mean, from an age approach, you know, are you okay with him doing that? Would he be okay if you had to go back to work and weren't there for him during those days?
I think he would. I wouldn't really expect him to do too much of the work. So as far as what they're telling us now, because one of the biggest concerns for parents was, well, I work, how am I going, you know, I don't have a way for my kids to do this schoolwork during those hours. So as long as they get the day's work done by that night, it counts. There's not like, you know, it doesn't have to be done by 3 o'clock or something like that, which is good.
Yeah.
But at the time, you know, I don't want to spend my evenings doing schoolwork.
Exactly. I mean, and that's the challenge. It's not just that it's homework, right? It's getting the schoolwork done plus the homework then, whatever that looks like. It really puts a lot of pressure on parents. I wish there were a better way. So if there were a better way, what would be a great solution as a support for you, Kristen? And we'll go back around and ask everybody to help so that burden, because I don't know any other way to say it, wouldn't fall on you. What would be helpful?
To be honest, I'm not even entirely certain. Like, I have not been able to really figure out how it would work. Like, what would even make it easier, because I stress over my daughter is going into 8th grade and I'm not going to be able to help her with her work. Maybe resources of teachers online who can, video with them if need be to help them with a subject or something that they might be struggling with. But I don't know. I don't know what would make it easier with them home. Like I've lost sleep over this.
Yeah. So that's my concern, right? So as we were talking yesterday, well, all this week, really, I mean, my concern overall is what is the negative impact on our families in having to bear a lot of this responsibility? How's this impacting our kids from an emotional and a mental perspective, right? Having things different, having more restrictions. How's this impacting us as moms, feeling the pressure of this, of things not being usual for our kids? Or I'm just going to mute you, Kristen. And what is the impact on us? As you're saying, Kristen, one of the most important things that we need is sleep for our overall well-being. And you're losing sleep over what the hell is school going to look like and how am I going to support my kids, because it was a hot mess the end of last year. And how am I going to go through a whole school year with not feeling like I have a support system to help me? So that's why I'm asking, what would be the right kind of support for you, but also for what your kids need?
The kids, like I said, they're going to need people that can explain stuff to them to help them. They need social interaction. Thankfully, my older daughter, her cheer, she's, they're able to do that right now. But, sorry, they just walked in the house. But as far as me, I don't know, a way to organize it all, like to figure out the hours for the days,
And again, there's still uncertainty about what your kiddos are doing. Is it 2 days on, 3 days off, or whatever that, or is it 5 days back? But yet you still have one that might be home and do it virtual. So
no matter what, 3 days a week, I'll have 3 of them home. So in reality, there's only 2 days a week that my kids would even be in school, other than the little one who, as of right now, is 5 days. But the older ones, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's 3 kids home. Yeah.
So.
So what is your concern then with the with your 9-year-old with his learning disability? What's your concern that his needs aren't going to be met?
I just don't know how in the spring, it was a hot mess. It was. The teacher he had was amazing. She was fantastic and she tried. But I need to know that he is going to get the support he needs, that I'm going to get the materials he needs.
Well, right. But isn't that the point of having an IEP? So, we know by law, right? Heather, you know this too. We know by law, that's why they have an IEP. We know it's a pandemic, but what is the school? Have you spoken to the school district? What is the accommodation they're going to make sure these needs are met? And is having a support person at home during those off days an option, or having a live person, because I don't know what they're doing either as far as the teachers being online, or are they just giving virtual assignments and there's no live interaction?
I don't even know yet.
It's crazy shit.
But I did speak with the director of the special education department. I spoke with her this week. She actually called me because I emailed the superintendent because they wanted us to do this survey on the website of what we're thinking we want to do with our kids right now out of the 3 options. It wasn't setting anything in stone, but what were we leaning toward? And nothing in there said anything about special education. So I emailed him and I said, I need to know what your plan is for this special education for the kids with IEPs. So he was very responsive. He responded to me in the evening. He asked me, a few questions, and he forwarded the information to the head of the department. And she actually called me and we spoke, and she was fantastic. And she said that, so much is in limbo right now that they can't give a solid answer yet. But she reassured me, and I felt comfortable with her response. Like, I feel that he will get services, but I don't know what yet.
All right. So let's say, in all fairness, you're worrying in advance. So when you get what they're going to do, then you can decide if it's worth worrying or not. So because right now you're still on summer break. So
yeah.
And you'll have options, right?
Yes.
We don't know what they are, but you're going to have options, and we're going to help you find whatever the resources are and help you advocate for it. And you're just a great advocate for your kids anyway. You're making the calls, you're getting ahead of it, So they're lucky they have a mom like you who wants to make sure they're getting everything that they need. So stop worrying about what isn't even there to worry about yet. But we're all moms, we know that, right? We know we just do that. But sometimes we need somebody to remind us that we should just stop worrying about what isn't worth worrying about yet. When they tell you they're not going to provide the support services, that's when we can start making some worrying and making some shifts in how to put together a different plan. But we know that the districts are well aware of what their obligations are and what the kids' needs are. So certainly they want to do what they can to accommodate and meet all of their needs. Everybody wants it to be freaking normal, right? So everybody just wants it to not be a struggle, for sure. So, but the challenge is that, we're already into a few weeks away from school starting, and imagine how it feels for them. What kind of sleep they must be losing, right? Being in limbo and then having to try and throw it all together last minute. So, anyway, so it's good that you reached out. So Kim, what do you think for you or for your daughter is going to be the biggest negative impact? Did I ask you? I can't remember where we started this.
Well, I think it's just knowing when things might return back to normal, because I know she's a worrier just as much as I am. And she even asked me, she's like, is this the way things are just going to keep going? I forget how she phrased it technically, but she's like, is this just how it's going to be type situation? And I'm like, God, I hope not. Because, they're only talking till December at this point because everything's too unknown and too new. And there's so much... There's so much craziness
it's
going on.
It's such a good question. She's so wise.
She is, and a little bit she's worrying about it because, what happens if, it takes off and it goes well for most. I don't see it going well for her, but fingers crossed, because I will rally with her and make sure she does it. But at the same time, what if this is something that continues for the whole year and maybe even into next year? I don't think it's a valued education that we grew up with. It's definitely not the same scenario whatsoever. How do you get close to your peers and learn just normal things,
Oh
not
yeah.
just
Oh,
educational things.
all of it is the
So-
learning development, the emotional development, the social development. It's, I mean, you know, I think about, and I know you said, you know, oh, they'll be able to take their mask off when they're sitting at the desk. But if we think about how kids learn communication, you know, they're watching our facial expressions. It tells them everything about, like, how many of us moms,
Yes.
Kristen's doing it right now. Just look at our kids, right? And they know what's going on in here, and that they better adjust, right? Teachers do it, right? It's how they're learning. If we're sad, if we're happy to see them, you know, what we're thinking, right? Our kids can read our mind based on our facial expression, and we like that. It's how we get them to toe the line when we can't say what we really want to say out loud in the grocery store. Or on a Facebook.
Right. And my daughter, she also takes an extra speech class. So how is something like that going to also impact her? They said, oh, she might outgrow it. You know, she is 9. So like the R's, to me, it sounds cute when she says like, girl, right. She does. And to me, it's normal, but apparently it's not the right way. So they have her in speech class. And I mean, she's only gone through 1 year of speech. It's not that big of a deal. To me, I don't care. But I mean, how is that going to take off? Because her speech teacher's like, oh, watch this video and focus on how I'm doing this. And I'm like, she's not going to know. I'm like, I don't know. How is she going to know? So it's those little things that, you know, it is going to impact her because it's not going to be fixed at a young enough age.
She doesn't have an IEP though, right? This is just a supplement.
She does not. They say she's borderline ADD, but I've never actually gone through the whole process of, you know, getting her to do it. I just think she's always been on the more immature side, and no offense, I'd rather her be a kid as long as she can. So I don't try to force her to act any older than she is, because her mind is wiser than she is. But
yes.
Her mannerisms are very immature, and I'm okay with that because kids grow up way too fast nowadays. And I want to keep her, you sit there and play with your Barbie dolls as long as you want, as long as I'm not stepping on those shoes. So that's how my philosophy is and everything else. And that's just the way I mom and, you know, be a good parent. Everyone's different, but I also sit down and be like, you have to read 30 minutes a day because your education is going to get thrown out the window. So there's a little give and take, but I see her on the immature side compared to other people, but I'm not forcing her to grow up any faster than she wants to.
Right. We can you're such a great mom. And if you can get your kid to read 30 minutes a day, like I don't even have the attention span to read 30 minutes a day. So that's pretty amazing.
Well,
but yeah, I mean, it's so easy to get into comparison and, you know, having pediatricians saying, well, this is where the curve is, or this is what they should be doing. And Heather, you and I swear we were talking about this at the family day, right? Talking about, you know, at what point are we like, you know, over having this whatever around what's normal and allowing their development to be what it is, or their quirks to be what they are, you know? I know plenty of adults who are extremely successful that have not only speech impediments, but like stuttering, who are coaches who have to talk all the time, or have a certain way of, you know, their language not sounding as typical as, you know, most of us who just came natural to us or whatever, you know, like, so it's just, we can get so hung up on those things. And as a society, we try to over normalize everyone because of a curve, you know, or because might be worried about bullying or not being included. And, you know, the greatest things we can do as moms and teachers and, you know, caregivers is allow them to be who they are and not set the expectation that they're going to be excluded because they're not exactly the same, you know? So anyway, I respect that you do that, Kim.
Yeah, I would rather her be able to be a little bit immature, but she can release her feelings and be able to speak clearly and be heard. And that's what I focused on. And I'm like, I think that's more important, that her emotional well-being is taken care of, and the educational stuff will come when it needs to, as well as the social and everything else.
It absolutely will. Yeah, you know, she's probably not going to be 15 and still having that same level of desire to be playing with Barbies
Right.
and not engaging in, you know, more age appropriate, whatever that is. Let's hope it's not what's normalized as age appropriate these days. But right,
she's still making slime at that point and not worrying about what boys are on her Instagram, you know?
Yeah. Right, exactly. So but as you're saying that, you know, I'm concerned about that for her too, in the way that you are in how do we continue to develop these really important skills around not just emotional resilience, but these building blocks of connection. So I'm wondering if they end up, or even, you know, going only a couple of days in the brick and mortar, or if they end up, you know, closing school, or this is the new way of schooling, which is only a couple days in and the rest of the days are virtual. How open would you be to doing some kind of like a learning pod or collaboration with other parents of kids the same age, so she can get some of that socialization and the peer support of learning the way everyone else is online by collaborating, instead of you sitting there, you know, pounding on her head saying, sit and do it.
Right. I think that would be key to going ahead if this becomes the normal way of things. I think that's the only way, because how is she going to be successful moving on even, you know, a year or two from now?
Yeah.
Because without being able to, you know, just socialize on a normal basis, where even when you physically go to school, it's not like you're just actively playing with, you know, your friends like normal.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally sitting at a distance from everybody, doing every activity. Mm-hmm. There's no one-on-one conversations going on in the corner. There's no like, ha ha ha, like I'm a little girl and I'm going to do this. There's no running and jumping and, you know, all that normal stuff that we consider normal. It's not. And it breaks my heart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see the research come out of this, but, you know, the experts, you know, in the field of, you know, psychology and medicine, I mean, they're already talking about what the implications are, not just the implications around mental health, because of anxiety and depression and being out of the rhythm of what is normal, and the whole challenge around the uncertainty. Like, I don't know what to expect, so I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? So we're going to see research coming out around this, and it's not going to be favorable, because this is not how we are as humans are wired to grow and develop. So, but collectively, I'm glad we're having the conversation, because it allows us to start figuring out, what do we need to do? You know, what can we do collectively to co-create and make this work in a healthier way, despite what's going on with our schools? So, Heather, did you want to add something to that? I know we were talking about, you know, what's normal and.
Yeah. I don't think there's any way to know what is normal now, because I don't think we're ever going to be back to the way things used to be. There's going to be a new normal. There is a new normal. And I think what's most frustrating for me is that there really isn't a more substantial plan in place. This is what we're doing. Da, 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 da. You know me, I'm a planner. And what stresses me out is when I can't plan ahead or do what I need to do to put things in place. You know, I hate waiting to the last minute. It drives me crazy. So, but like I said, I do have a little more flexibility with Joe's school year this year. But again, the socialization is a big thing for him at his age.
Yeah.
And he needs it. I don't want to see him have to do without.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Kristen, so how are you seeing this creating a hardship for you even financially if you're not able to, because that's what I keep saying, one of the things that there's so many positive things that have come out of COVID. And Kristen, you've been a great model of that. I've enjoyed since the spring watching, the stuff you're posting on Facebook, the things you're doing with your kids to really be present and doing things together despite everybody being on lockdown and being in. You've been out and doing this social distancing thing, but with your family, so that your kids aren't just sitting around all day and doing nothing. So you've been a great example of keeping moving and doing things together and taking advantage of being in the present moment. And that's been fantastic. But at the same time, we're now, things have really shifted because unemployment has changed. Those who've been on unemployment are losing $600. And I know it's on the table and that may or may not come back. And they're working on sending out, another check or whatever. But when we think about how we can say, okay, it's like, throwing another piece of meat under the door kind of thing to hold you over. But when we look at the long-term implication, this, I'll just say temporary economic hardship, what it's doing for so many single moms across the country. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's across the world, right? But, right here in our area, we're seeing single mom incomes are being, flattened out and deflated. And the trajectory of even, career moves are being held down because you can't work. You cannot go back and work your full-time job if you have a number of kids or young kids and you're the sole parent like I was and like some of you are. Heather's son is older and has her dad. That's fantastic, right? And Kristen, I know your kid's father's nearby, but that's limited, right? Like everybody's got to work. And exactly what happened to me is what's going on with you. It's like, okay, I'll be the one to stay home and I'll figure it out and we'll do without, or we'll scrape, or we'll just do unemployment, or I'll do this little side gig and try and make money here or there. And, so I was curious if you were willing to share how you see this playing out, not having childcare so you can go back to work, support with their education, and how you really see this having a negative impact on you financially.
So yeah, losing that extra $600 was a huge hit because that was really keeping me afloat. I mean, that equaled out to about how much I was, making almost. And I do the Usborne stuff and it's great, but that's not a livable income.
Right.
Well, maybe at some point it could be, but right now it's not. It's, that was intended to be money because I want to take them to Disney. So that was intended to be savings for that. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, that's been disappointing to have to spend. But I've been really racking my brain trying to figure out how I am going to get a job and take care of them and help them with school. Thankfully, my daughter, who's 13, is mature enough to watch her little sister, but not for 8 hours while I go to work. That would just be far too long. I know I could leave her with her for like 2, maybe 3 hours, but where am I going to find a job that pays any kind of reasonable income that I'm only working, that kind of time? Plus, I have 4, and the boys, they're 9 and 10. They fight like crazy. They butt heads because they're only a year and a half apart. Mm-hmm. And then heads with their older sister because the 3 of them are all within 4 years of each other. So they're all super close in age. And their personalities are so different and they drive each other crazy, especially when my 10-year-old, if he didn't get enough sleep the night before, or if he's at the end of the day with his medication, his ADHD is horrible to deal with. I mean,
oh, I know. I saw him at Family Day. He's bouncing off the walls. He's being an instigator. Yeah, I mean, that is normal ADHD behavior of a child that's not medicated. It doesn't make it any easier though. And then who's like preparing the meals, right? Like there's all of that, right? So your 3-year-old will be locked in the bathroom because she's driving everyone crazy and no one wants to play with her. The curtains will be, off of, the hinges because the couch will be turned over because your 10-year-old was off his medication by 9 p.m. Yeah. So, but we're laughing about this. This is your real life every day, not working. So, I'm listening to what you're saying and thinking about, the amount of stress that not only adds to your kids, because we think about, your older daughter who, and I know my older sister was, the same. My mom worked and she was the parent, the one in charge of what everybody's supposed to be doing and making sure it got done before mom got home and all of that. And we're all a year and a half apart too. So we were very close to age, very different personalities, and it was probably a good thing we were just girls and no boys, but it's a crazy dynamic, it's challenging. And that's why I ask, how you're dealing with that. Like, so on top of not sleeping, because you're worried about your kiddos' IEPs and how we're meeting their needs, right? But I want to, while we're here, and we were talking about extra income, we had 2 questions that people registered that ask, and so we'll let you guys just raise your hand and all of you can answer. So Nancy had asked the question, how can you boost your income as a single mom? So I'll let you guys go first and then I'll share 2 because I've done a million things. So Heather, I'll let you go first because you do Young Living as a side gig. But what advice or ideas can you give Nancy about how to boost her income?
Well, I would definitely recommend Young Living. But on the side, for quick cash, I was doing Instacart for a little while. My work was closed for like 2 weeks when everything first started. And Instacart and services like that are a good way to make quick cash. There are a lot of people still afraid to come out of their homes or can't because of their health issues. So that's a really good way to start.
Yeah. Awesome. Kim, you have some ideas you want to throw in there?
Actually, I have none. I've never done a side gig. I've always just worked overtime, gotten a second job. So I really don't. I've always wondered, but I've always been trained since I was like 15 to have a job and just work my butt off and figure out what to do with the kiddos, right? And make it work.
I mean, say it again, Kim?
I wish there was an avenue I went to for, just something on the side other than, just getting rid of stuff on eBay, I feel like that's quick to me. That's, materialistic things I'm not about. So just, it was a nice gift. Thank you. But it's moving on.
That's a really good suggestion though, right? Because you don't have to leave your house because, as Heather said, doing these, this gig economy that we're in, whether it's Uber Eats or, Instacart or whatever those things are, you have to have a car. And if you have a little kid, you can't take them. Or it makes it really difficult to take them because how many hours of that are they going to put up with? And even though these gig economies, gig things have rules, let's say Instacart, right? Could you really take your kiddo with you to the grocery store, do a couple of grocery runs or whatever? I mean, you could, even though their policy says you can't do that, but whatever. We got to
see them do it.
Yeah, you do what you got to do until somebody tells you can't. So, as single moms, we do not ask permission. We you know, we do what we have to do until somebody tells us we can't. But yeah, selling things on
Right. I didn't need that necklace from my ex-husband. That's got bye-bye.
Oh my
Somebody
God.
else can find joy in that. The
Oh,
bookshelf
Lord.
that we never touch, you know,
Yeah.
somebody else can appreciate it, and I'm okay with, you know, the $2 here and there. It adds up.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. I've definitely sold a lot of jewelry after my divorce because I needed the money, and done all kinds of side gigs. And when I had my youngest son, Lucas, did we do that before Lucas? I can't even remember now. No, I had Lucas when I got that. But I bought an ice cream truck. Was totally dead broke. I was in college and working a part-time. I think I was still working my part-time job, or maybe I had been fired because of Lucas's medical issues or whatever. Eventually I was. I can't remember at what point that happened, but you know, that was my side gig while I was on unemployment. Driving an ice cream truck around. It was really supposed to be Canaan's entrepreneurial venture, but he hated it very quickly. So it turned into mine. And, but I did babysitting. I've done house cleaning. Yes, selling stuff online. Oh my God, so many different things. And just Kristen, so tell us about Usborne and about making money with that. And what are some other suggestions that you could have on how to boost your income as a single mom, in addition to getting a second job? I worked multiple part-time jobs always because I had to.
Yeah. So Usborne, I started with that February 1st. So I actually started with that right before everything happened. And it was like perfect timing because book sales have been astronomical. We saw a lot of like educational books, so it's definitely good. And if anyone were ever interested, it was reasonable. I mean, right now you can sign up for $25 to sell it, and you get more than that back in products. So that was actually kind of what brought me in was, well, it wasn't that much when I joined, but I got back more than what I put in. So it's like, I'm not really losing anything if this doesn't work. And I love it. You know, I just promoted with it, so I'm making more money, which is nice. But the other thing that I was doing that I'm not right now because of COVID is I was watching my friends' kids, and I was getting paid very well to do that. So that is definitely something like if you have time and you know someone who might need a sitter, like, or their kids are in daycare and they're kind of, you know, iffy about it because there's other kids in daycare that they don't know, you know, that's definitely something to look into because you can make a decent amount of money doing that.
Yes. And you just reminded me of another thing. So yes, I had a profile on care.com and always was getting contacted. You know, I live in Mountaintop, so families up here are always looking for childcare, whether it's for date night or for a newborn, or, you know, their child got sick in daycare and they pulled them out or whatever for a few months. But also pet sitting. So going on care.com and setting up a profile for pet sitting or housekeeping. Childcare, especially right now, parents are needing support around childcare. And I know that sometimes, you know, parents don't want you bringing your other child. So, but a lot of parents right now, just like what we were talking about with Kim, right? Like, hey, I would welcome that because it would be socialization for my child. And as long as we all followed the right protocols of, you know, washing our hands and cleaning things and being conscientious about all the right stuff, it's better than being in a classroom or a child care center with 20 or 30 or 100 other kids, you know?
And I would take kids with me too, so that helps.
Yeah, see, that's awesome. All right, and now Angela wants to know, and you guys might have answered this as we go, but if you want to add anything to it to elaborate on it, she had asked, how do you feel about sending your kids to school, like the building versus, you know, we had Commonwealth Charter Academy talking about cyber schooling versus the virtual school district's virtual learning or the hybrid versus going all the way back to the brick and mortar. And she has a bunch of kids. So she's still up in the air trying to figure out what's the right thing to do and checking in with other parents' feelings on that too. So Kim or Kristen, do you want to elaborate on that or share more about that?
I really don't have any problem sending her back to the physical school. It's just educating her on keeping clean and keeping away and not going up and hugging your friends. It's not the same situation. It's, keep more to yourself, but you're there for a purpose. All that side stuff can be done on the side, get to know the parents more. I feel like we need to come to better as a community to raise the kids and try to, put the social aspects more on us, even though the education is going to be more on us as well. Mm-hmm. But keeping the social things, off to the side and out of the school building to try to keep going forward with a better school plan. Because I feel like right now it's not the best plan. It's a plan. So if we want a better plan, then we have to cooperate.
Well said. How about you, Kristen? You have anything to add other than what you
Sorry, I had to unmute myself there. Yeah, for me, honestly, I would be okay sending my kids back to school 5 days a week. I think I have a little bit of a different view with the whole COVID thing. I was terrified of it. And then just like, I really think this is being blown out of proportion in a lot of ways. I know it's a very serious illness. So I'm not downplaying that. But I know that we have a lot of other really serious illnesses that go around. Mm-hmm. And, I'm always super prepared for like flu season and stuff like that. And I make sure my kids wash their hands and, noticing happy birthday 2 times. And I keep Lysol and Lysol wipes and all that on hand during, for the virus seasons. So for me, I'm like, I'm already doing everything. And I guess I kind of expected that at the schools, they were cleaning as well because my kids weren't really getting sick like that. So I feel as long as they're following what they should be in school, as far as sanitizing and all that, I don't see why the kids can't go back. And I don't agree with the kids having to stay in one classroom all day long. Now,
100%. I agree. Yes.
You want to keep their desks separated where they're not on top of each other all day long. I would be okay with that no matter what, because then they're not sharing all the other germs too. But yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with them getting more normalized again. Yeah. Because it's their social or their social well-being needs to be attended to as well.
It's all of that. Yes. Yeah, we're definitely, as parents, in agreement about all of that stuff, for sure. So there's a lot of things to consider in the stuff that we've talked about, and I think that as a community at large, not just the Adopt a Single Mom community, but I think as a community at large, we need to not just be aware and sensitive to what the needs are for our children and our families right now, but we need to be part of this solution. That yes, our school districts are not going to be able to provide the solutions that are meeting all of the healthy needs of our kids and our families. And how do we do that? And, talking with all of you and finding out what are your concerns and what would the best solution be and what is the negative impact on, for you and your family is going to help us as a community figure out what these solutions need to be. Childcare is one of the biggest challenges for working single moms because it's not affordable and it's not available the the way that we need it to be available. So package that with now not having the right support system for educating our kids and not having the right flexible workspace to even being available to be able to work and working a job. Kristen, as you said, I mean, it was my story the whole time, raising my kids, having a salary that was sustainable, you know? So, so it's a challenge. I see right now the jobs that are hiring are for my 4-year degree. I just saw posted this last week, $12.50 an hour for a 4-year degree that in psychology plus 2 years of experience. And I'm thinking, WTF, are you kidding me? Like, I went to school with $60,000 in debt to get paid $12.50 an hour or $15 an hour. But this is what we're facing right now. And it's a challenge to work for those kinds of pay and be able to afford to live at the same time, or pay daycare or a childcare provider for our kids to be home while we're at work. So, so we know those are all of the challenges. I want to go around real quick. I don't know where the time goes when we start talking. And I'm sorry, Victoria, I don't know what happened with her internet or whatever that we didn't get to hear from her, but let's just go around and I'll have you guys share any closing thoughts or whatever you just want to share and saying goodbye and wrapping up for us. Suggestions, solutions, what you'd like to see happen, or just say goodbye. All right, Kim, we're going to start where we started in the beginning. Up to you.
Okay, well, I'll start. I don't have a problem with that. I love talking and time always gets away from me, but that's okay. But just stay strong, talk to everybody and anybody you can, and form a solution that works best for your child. There's no right or wrong. It's all trial and error at this point. And just, I mean, this organization is wonderful as one of those outlets, as well as, you know, look to, you know, your children's peers and their moms, and keep in contact with the teachers and just be as informed as you can be, because I think there's just too many unanswered questions for me as well as for everybody else. And I think if we just keep talking about it, it will make it easier for the kids. And that's all we really want.
Such a good point. Reaching out, asking for help, stay connected, communicate. Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. Good. Heather?
Well, I think Kimberly said it all, so I can't follow that.
All right, good.
But thank you, ladies, for all of this, and take care of yourselves. And in doing so, you'll take care of your kids too.
So true. Kristen, wrap us up.
So the only thing I would add is don't stress over what anyone else's opinion is of how you are handling the situation with your children. Everyone is different. I mean, every child is different. As I said, I have a different plan for each of my kids. So whatever you choose is right, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Yes.
So
thank you for that reminder, because there's so much bullying happening online and so much judgment and so much comparison. You know, I see it in Facebooks all the time. What's everybody doing? Or, well, I don't agree with that because it's not good for everybody. And it's just what Kim said. There's not a one size fits all. Do your own thing. Don't get too caught up or worried about what everybody else is doing, and do run your own race. Because at the end of the day, you have to do what is right for you and your family. Because when we turn around, who's there for us as single moms? Nothing, nobody, right? Like, it's still up to us at the end of the day to bear the burden of every decision that we make. So, so we have to do what's best for us. Whether we agree with it at the end of the day or not, we can shift and do something different tomorrow. So, all right, I'm going to sign us off. Hang tight, ladies.